Hi, I'm Nathan Vasanthan, working at the University of West London in Ealing. Today I'm going to demonstrate one of the arguably known dish from Sri Lanka, which is called mutton roll. So to start with, if you would like to see the ingredients here on the tray, we have got garlic, onion, ginger, mustard seeds, cinnamon, obviously from Sri Lanka, curry leaves, fennel seeds, fenugreek, and cumin seeds. And also you have got coconut milk, but we won't be using that. Okay, so start with a little bit of oil in the pan. You don't need a lot. Onion goes in, followed by garlic. And then dry spices. You can also put the dry spices first, but I'm making sure that they don't burn, especially if we are using the induction hob. So we need to make sure that they don't burn very quick. Be careful when you use fenugreek. It can be very bitter because people tend to use a lot, but a little goes a long way. And then you can put the curry leaves in. But generally we also leave the stems in there for extra flavor. You want to make sure that it doesn't burn. I just heat. And at this stage I'm going to add the ginger julienne in there. As you can see, this is nicely softened and golden, light golden color. If it is start to burn, don't tend to add more oil. Just add a little bit of water to stop the burning process. Now to that, we are going to add the Sri Lankan curry powder. It's very different from the curry powders you may get from other countries, like India, for example. They tend to grind the spices raw. In Sri Lanka, the particularity of the curry is they grill the spices first. So as you can see, the color is quite dark because of the grinding. So I'm adding the spice now. As you can see, I don't need to fry the spices because it's already been cooked. And then to that now I'm going to add the meat. So traditionally we always use mutton, quite tough meat, but you can also use lamb, but lamb needs less cooking time. So I'm at the mutton here. So then we are actually frying the entire thing. So bring the meat to the temperature. And we will be adding the potato in a minute, but before that we need to make sure the meat is cooked a little bit so that they don't, cook unevenly. You don't want too much mash in there and uncooked meat. So to that you can add a little bit of water just to make sure that the heat is transferred from the pan to the meat. Also, obviously, you need to add a little bit of salt. And not to forget the Sri Lankan cinnamon. Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's very personal how much you add in there, but cinnamon from Sri Lanka is quite fine compared to the Indian spices they use. They call it this is kind of thick bark, but Sri Lankan cinnamon are a lot finer and lot sweeter. So that's kind of coming to the boil. A little bit more water. As you can see, I'm not adding more oil. The water is the key because this entire stew will take a few, maybe at least minimum 30 minutes to cook down. The water is the medium that bring the heat to the meat. We are not grilling, we are not doing any other cooking method, it's stewing. So it's have brought to the boil. I'm going to add the potato now. The ratio is roughly half meat to half potato. Okay. Give a good stir. And then once it's come to the boil, I'm going to put a lid on and then let it stew on the side. You can also finish this in the oven or on the stove, depending on your facilities. So this is the finished lamb or mutton curry with potato in. As you can see, it's been cooked through fully and quite dry. That's the texture that we are looking for, because this is going to be the filling for a mutton roll. So it has to be sort of semi-solid so we can handle it. Otherwise, it will spread across the wrap. So what's the next step? Here, make sure that this is chilled, because you're going to put it on a spring roll wrap. If it is hot, then you will find it very difficult to work with. So I've got the spring roll wrap here. You can also use pancakes, homemade pancakes. You can actually fry them very thin, and then you can use them instead of spring rolls if you can't find them. Generally speaking, these spring roll wraps are readily available in most of the ethnic shops or Asian shops. Okay, so I'm going to take one rectangle sheet here. I'm going to put in a diagonal way, so it's kind of the pointing towards me. And in the meantime, you keep the rest of the wraps always covered with a slightly damp cloth. You don't want it to dry and become crispy. I also have got the breadcrumbs here and also the egg wash. A little bit of flour, cold water, just to seal the edges. This dish, actually, mutton roll, is one of the iconic dishes from Sri Lanka. I can be very confident to say that there's no one Sri Lankan restaurant in this country without a mutton roll on their menu. Well, to that matter, anywhere you go, mutton roll must have on the menu. Okay, so the background of the dish. Sri Lanka has been colonized by Portuguese, Dutch, and then English. So these dishes, most of the dishes, are influenced by, believe it or not by the colonies or whatever the colonizers. I would say more by the travelers. For example, this dish is sort of a version of spring roll, Chinese spring rolls. Okay, so this dish, basically, the main difference here is that you batter them. Spring rolls are wrapped and deep fried directly. So this one you are going to batter in egg wash and breadcrumbs, and then you fry. I find it, if I break down the anatomy of that mutton roll, I find it quite interesting because spring rolls tend to absorb oil because the edges are not fully sealed. It can crack and absorbs the frying oil in it. But this dish, because you have an egg layer, it seals it. So although you are deep frying it, it's less greasier. So that's the only benefit I could think of. Otherwise, the texture as well, you have got the breadcrumbs on top, that it's slightly different to the normal spring rolls. Okay, so I have got the cold mix, lamb or mutton mix, depending on whatever you find. You can also make this particular dish with just vegetables, potatoes and peas and carrots, or you can also make with chicken. But the popular one has to be mutton roll. So I'm going to put that a spoonful here. You want to make sure you don't overfill either. So I'm not worried about how it's come together or in one place. So because I'm going to shape it with my hand. Okay, if you want, I can put a little bit more as well. The potato here is the one that the binding agent. Okay, so I'm going to then bring this edge here, slightly press down. Yeah, and then at this stage, almost like an envelope, you're folding it, both edges to the center, and make sure those two edges are parallel. And at this stage, it's always good to use a little bit of paste, the water and plain flour paste. Not a lot, just roll it gently. You don't need to worry about whether it's slightly loose or not, because when you fry it, it's going to crisp up and firm up as well. So you don't need to worry about that. So you don't have to worry too much about it. So that's how you make your lamb roll. So I'm going to do one more, and then I will show you how to bread them and deep fry them. Okay, just in case if I missed it or did it too quick. So again, make sure you take enough filling. Roll over. Okay, at this stage, and then a little bit of the paste. Some people use just water, but I prefer this starch in there. It kind of seals better than just water. Okay, and then just roll it nicely, gently, without pressing too much, because you don't want to break the wrap. Here you go. So I've got 2 rolls here. So I'm going to, next step is to show you how to do the breading. So what you do, you have whole egg whisked. So drop them in, make sure that it's fully covered, and remove the excess and drop it in the breadcrumb, and then just roll it. You should get evenly coated lamb roll ready to fry. I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to carry on finishing the remaining. You can also use box standard normal breadcrumbs. Some places they use colored breadcrumbs. This is panko, so I personally prefer the panko, but you can also use different colors. Okay, so now we are about to fry our mutton rolls, which we have already breaded. So the temperature is set at between 170 and 180, so 175 is sort of right temperature. The reason I say that the range, because if you are frying continuously, you may have to increase the temperature to 180. You don't want that to drop too far, because we are not frying a lot, so I'm happy with the temperature now. So what we are going to do, we are going to fill the baskets with the lamb rolls, carefully putting them in there. I'm using a tongue so that I don't get myself. And then gently lower the bread rolls. As you can see, it will take a few minutes to cook nicely and golden. And we need to make sure, because we have done a cook chill. Remember that we cooked the meat, we chilled it. Now we are reheating it, therefore we need to make sure the core temperature reaches 75 degrees Celsius or more for the food safety reasons. Right, okay, now you can see the mutton rolls are nice golden, yeah, light golden, that's what we are looking for. It took about 6 to 8 minutes to get to this stage. Now what we are going to do, let it drain the excess oil, and we are going to take them out carefully. As you can imagine, it's 180 degrees. You know, don't try to put your fingers in. Use a tongue, take out. And then don't forget, this dish is served straight away. You know, better served straight away while it's hot. As I said before, you serve that with different types of sauces here, sweet chili or ketchup for the young people, kids who don't like it. So I'm going to quickly plate one up for you. Well, if you go to a Sri Lankan restaurant, they tend to serve 2 per portion. Nothing stops you to serve less than that, but just to kind of give you how much the Sri Lankan like this dish, yeah. And then probably to finish off, a little bit of color, deep fried curry leaves. Enjoy.